Holy smokes. Sound the alarm. The Blue Jays, third straight series win. I can't believe it, to be honest.
You are Locked On Blue Jays, your daily Toronto Blue Jays podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back to Locked On Blue Jays. Thank you for making Locked On Blue Jays your first listen every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers get $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. As always, I'm Braden Iwasko. He's Carter First. You can find us on Twitter, Braden5 Iwasko. Carter First, too, as well, on our main Twitter account. I don't know why I can't get that right. At Locked On Jays. As well, you can follow us on TikTok and Instagram at Locked On Blue Jays. And if you haven't already, hit the subscribe button on YouTube. You guys, we have seen more and more of you trickle in. But if you're watching us all the time anyway, you might as well drop that subscription. It's free. You might as well do it. You get your podcast, your shorts, your live streams, your videos, all right there for you. And again, it is free. Just hit the button. I don't know. I don't know where to start. A lot to get into. The Blue Jays have won their third straight series. They have won 8 of their last 10 games. I'm a little bit blown away. They beat this Phillies team in 2 out of 3. And this third game, 9-1. We said what Toronto Blue Jays team was going to show up. The pressure's on. Here we go. A chance for a series win against a very good ball club. And they get the job done. At some point, we have to start having a conversation of maybe this team's going to put it all together. And I'm not talking about World Series, but I'm talking about playing good baseball. It seems like the days of one thing's on, one thing's off hasn't really mattered lately. Yes, I guess you can look back at the Phillies' second game and you can say that the offense wasn't there, but it was good enough to get the job done. And if this team's going to have the grit and the grind to be able to grind out those close wins, and then when the offense does turn it on, be able to beat teams 9-1, 9-2, whatever you want to say, I think as fans, we have to be absolutely elated right now. This team is 4 games over 500. They are in a wild card spot. I don't know. And things can go bad quickly. I'm well aware. I'm not getting, again, don't get too high, don't get too low. But this is the best I've felt about Toronto Blue Jays baseball in 3 years, Carter.
Yeah, I think 3 years for me might be a little crazy just based off. I know, like, we did just beat the Texas Rangers in a series that we honestly had no business winning. The Oakland Athletics, again, sweep a 4-game series, no matter against what team you're playing. That is going to be impressive in my books. And then you play the Philadelphia Phillies, who will be a playoff team. I mean, if that's somehow wrong, you guys can hold me accountable. But the Philadelphia Phillies are a good baseball team. They should be a team that is going to be taken seriously. Looking at that pitching staff that they do have. Again, you were lucky that you did avoid Zach Wheeler. You got Jesus Luzardo coming off the start. That he didn't have his best stuff. Obviously, the last 2 starts now for Luzardo haven't been good, but there's always going to be this little bit like asterisk with Toronto Blue Jays fans. It's going to be like, they're going to find the negative, it seems like, in a lot of these scenarios. They're going to say, oh, the Philadelphia Phillies coming off of a little 4-game slide that they were on. Oh, they're playing the Oakland Athletics. They have the worst pitching staff of all time. You're playing the Texas Rangers. They have a horrible offense. Where, again, there is some merit towards those things. But at the end of the day, can you not just enjoy the brand of baseball that we're seeing in front of us? I don't know if this is going to be consistent. I don't know if they're going to be able to put it together for a long stretch. They still have a couple tough series coming up. They got the Twins obviously coming up. We'll talk about in the third segment. But why not enjoy it right now? In the last 26 games, they still brought this up on the broadcast. The Blue Jays are 17-9 in their last 26 games. I, for one, had no idea that they were playing that good because that was the question that they brought on the broadcast, and they wanted to kind of throw it over to you. Does it feel like the Toronto Blue Jays are 17-9 over the last 26 games? Does it feel like they have been playing this brand of baseball and this consistent brand of baseball, at least in the wins and loss columns? Again, there's more to it, obviously, than just wins and losses. But hearing that right now, can you believe the Toronto Blue Jays are 17-9 in the last 26? Does it feel like that going on with the atmosphere around Toronto Blue Jays line right now?
Just the fan base, no, it will never feel like this team is exceeding expectations because this fan base, for some reason, loves to drag this team down. I mean, you said it, right? At some points, this team is playing good baseball and fans can't be happy about that. There's something always wrong. At the other end of it, I sort of have to be on board with them because I would say before this Philadelphia Phillies series, I would have said, no, it doesn't feel like that. Getting this series win, to me, means so much more. This is a massive, massive series win because not only do you beat a very, very good baseball team, you're able to do it in a fashion in one game. You get lit up, right? You get beat down. Then you are able to grind out a win that was there for the taking. And then you go right back using the momentum to defeat this team 9-1. To me, that says a ton about what this baseball club this season is bringing to the table. I said it before the last couple of games. I've started to start having this feeling of the hard work, the effort, the grind, the your heart and mind being into it, of wanting to compete and wanting to do better and be better. And I think that's something we've seen with this baseball club over the past 2-3 weeks, maybe even a month, if you want to say, of baseball. It's nose to the grindstone. Here we go. We got to find out ways to win baseball games. And they've been doing that. So I would say no, it doesn't feel like that. But then I go back and I think to what I've been saying on the podcast, probably, I would say the last week and a half, is that every time I feel like I come on, I say, can this team get it done? Can they prove it to me that they want to go out and win baseball games? They have the effort and the work ethic to go out there and win baseball games. And it seems like lately they've been proving it to me that they do, that they are wanting to win. So I think I take way more away from this Phillies series and what this team was able to overcome after game one than anything else this season. I think this shows you exactly what type of ball club this is.
See, I think there are massive differences in the way this ball club is playing in April compared to the way they are playing right now here in June. I just want to kind of go back to the stat I kind of handpicked from the broadcast. They said they were 17-9, which is a true stat, obviously, but then the 17 game stretch before that, they were 5-12. So that just shows the inconsistent brand of baseball that this Toronto Blue Jays ball club has been playing. I'm going to try to quickly add these up as I'm talking here. Before that, they were 7-4 on a stretch. So clearly there has been an inconsistent baseball team. So that's why right now I'm not going to say that it feels like we were 17-9, because it really hasn't, because the lows and the losses have felt absolutely horrific. And then the highs obviously have felt very good, especially recently, beating up on the Athletics, finally seeing this offensive output and this offensive storm. And that's the biggest difference. That is exactly what I want to go into, is that the offense compared in April compared to May and June so far, that what we've been seeing, it's like night and day. This offense is finally starting to see a pulse, and they did it against very good pitching in the Philadelphia Phillies. Again, you can have that drawback if you really wanted to from the Athletics series, because again, they don't have a lot of good pitchers. When you look at the Texas Rangers, even looking at that road stand, let's throw the Tampa Bay Rays series in there as well. You scored 6 runs in 6 games. You had 6 wins on this homestand. It's 6-1 on the homestand, obviously. So just that, again, that wasn't too far ago where you did go through pitching like those, or that offensive production like that, and you kind of didn't have, again, consistent output. But recently, like the bottom of the order, it just seems like I right now, just again, we're going off the high. Seems like it's a top 5 bottom of the order in baseball. Eventually, I'm going to go and do a little bit of a deep dive here. I want to see what the 7 through 9 guys have done throughout this lineup. But freshly, this game ended about half an hour ago as we're recording this. It feels like the bottom of the order has been absolutely ridiculous. And you look at what Tyler Heineman's been doing. You look at what Straw's been doing. We've said it a lot on the podcast. And they just continue to produce and come up in these big scenarios. And they were the reason why this big rally started. You got David Schneider getting on base. You had Miles Straw getting on base. Tyler Heineman getting on base. Jonathan Colossape having productive at-bats. Obviously, it helps when Bo Bichette's going to hit home runs like that. But that's been the biggest difference in the month of May, is that this offense has had a pulse, and it has been more consistent. I'm not going to say consistent yet, but it has been more consistent than it was in April. And we have seen the kind of ceiling and the output that this offense can have. Again, we just got to see them do it against good pitching consistently. And this Philadelphia Phillies team definitely has good pitching. You can't discount anything that this Toronto Blue Jays ball club did against the Phillies in this series.
Yeah, and you know what? I want to go back to one thing you said, that they faced good pitching, and they did. They really did. But I think going into this game, I said it, I think before the series started, and I mentioned it at work, I think it was yesterday or 2 days ago or 3 days ago now, of, how do you feel if they're going to face Jesus Luzardo? And I said, you know what? Jesus Luzardo has been either really good or really bad this season. And when he's been bad, he's been beaten up on. And I don't want to say that he had that he was really bad today, and that's why the Blue Jays got to him. And instead, and not give the Blue Jays offense their props. But at the same time, you have to look at that. Hey, this guy didn't have a great day, and this team was able to take advantage of. And I think the one difference that we're seeing is if you're facing a pitcher not having his best day, instead of this offense just being anemic all the time, at least when they're able to go and take advantage of a pitcher not having their best day. And that's what you need. You can't let a guy have their bad day and you let them still somehow find out a way to get a win. Instead, you have to be the counterpunch. You have to have the work ethic and the grind mentality to now go and take advantage of that. And I think that's something big that we're seeing. And you're right, Carter. I mean, the 7 through 9 guys, I put out a tweet today, I think on the Locked On Jays account on Twitter. And I think it was in like the third inning. I was like, these guys are unbelievable. And then instead of it being a, hey, oh, they did it for one series of at-bats, no, they were good the entire game. And that's what we've been seeing with this 7 to 9. Or even if you want to throw the 6 to 9 in there, because I think that's usually 5 or 6 is where Ernie Clement will be hitting, and he's been fantastic. You got to give these guys the props. Because a team cannot win baseball games based on 3 guys in their lineup. You need your whole lineup to show up some games. And some games you need those 6, 7, 8, 9 guys to be a driving force. It doesn't have to be every game. It doesn't have to be every second game. But there are going to be games where an offense needs those guys to step up. And honestly, yesterday in the 9-1 victory, that is a game, I think, besides the Bichette home run, you can say was really manufactured by the bottom of this order. And that is unbelievable to see. And I think that is what makes a middle tier baseball team, middle of the pack team into a great baseball team, is the ability to have lineup flexibility. And that's what we're seeing with this team.
See, and one nice thing that's always going to be fun to draw on is that this lineup is doing it right now without Anthony Santander even being present, honestly, throughout this entire season. They're doing it without Daulton Varsho, who may or may not be as good when he comes back from this injury, but still, this is a bat that you want to have in your lineup. So seeing that, again, it's not just one guy that's just having this unbelievable stretch. You could handpick 5, 6, 7 players on this team, pretty much like half the Toronto Blue Jays lineup that's not like your regular starters. Pretty much all of them have been very good, whether it's Ernie Clement, Addison Barger. Again, you can go down the list. We've done it a million times on this podcast. You guys are obviously watching the games as well. So you're seeing with your eyes, obviously, when you're watching the baseball games, who is playing well. And it can literally be anyone in the bottom of this lineup in any given day. I just wanted to offer a little bit of clarity what you said on Jesus Luzardo. You said that he's either really good or really bad. He's been really bad twice, but when he has been bad, oh my God, he has been absolutely horrific. Because before these last 2 games, there wasn't an outing that Jesus Luzardo had that he went less than 5 innings or gave up more than 3 earned runs in those 11 starts previous. Had about a 2.10 ERA going into the Milwaukee Brewers game, and that is where everything seemed to fall apart. Had a 2.15 ERA going into that game. After that game, had a 3.58 ERA. Gave up 12 earned runs in 3 1/3 innings. That's obviously going to inflate the ERA pretty aggressively. And now you're looking at this Toronto Blue Jays game, had 2 1/3 innings, gave up 8 earned runs, a ton of hits, obviously, a home run from Bichette. So Jesus Luzardo going up to these last 2 games has been really good. You take away these last 2 games, he was kind of in that conversation for NL Cy Young. That's how good Jesus Luzardo was before these last 2 games. So again, maybe you could say that one start completely ruined his mental. You can really, if you want to play on the Blue Jays downfalls, you can have a million spin zones that are going to negatively impact this team. But I'm all about the positive spin zones. There's really there's no reason for a spin zone here because you had the positiveness. You had a very good offensive output. Chris Bassitt was an absolute dog once again. Has been a little bit inconsistent. They brought up on the broadcast again. You can kind of just see with your eyes as well that Chris Bassitt has been very good in totality for the season. But again, when he hasn't necessarily had the stuff, he hasn't been able to get out of those games with minimal damage. He's had in his last 2 starts had a 10 ERA. That's not exactly what you want from the Hound on the mound. But again, you're seeing what happens when this team can play in cohesion. You're seeing what happens when this offense can be firing on all cylinders, when you're getting some bullpen help, when you got some guys that are being dominant out of the bullpen. Mason Fluharty, again, who I want to go into, is just absolutely insane. And then obviously when you get good starting pitching like Jose Berrios and Chris Bassitt offered you, this team does have the ability to beat very good teams in this league. But there is, I'll give you one more chance to kind of rebuttal, but then there's obviously a lot of stuff from the game that we do want to dive into.
Yeah, no rebuttals. I can't disagree with anything. I'm just happy to be here. I'm happy to see this team succeed and succeed against good baseball clubs, right? It's a very different feeling coming off of beating up on the Athletics to beating up on the Phillies. It's a great feeling as a fan of this team. And if you're not getting a little bit more and more excited about what this Toronto Blue Jays team maybe can be, I don't know what you're doing. I don't know why you're cheering for them. You don't you want to see this team succeed? Again, a lot more to get into on this game. Obviously, the series preview. We have so much to talk about yet. We're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back with all of that.
Today's episode is sponsored by Trade Coffee. Let's be real. Coffee just isn't a drink. It's a ritual, a lifeline, and the thing that gets you going from half asleep to fully functioning. And if that is essential, why settle for anything less than amazing? That's where Trade Coffee comes in. Trade Coffee is the number one coffee destination in the U.S., delivering fresh, incredible coffee from over 50 of the country's top roasters. Whether you're a cold brew fan or a pour-over purist, they've got a roast that you'll love. One thing that I absolutely love about Trade Coffee is not just their prices are comparable to obviously the main brands, but the taste just completely changes the game. I'm a big hazelnut guy, so I always go with their hazelnut flavored coffees. And I've had like the store-bought versions. I've had the Folgers. I've had a bunch of them down the line. I had Trade Coffee. We got our shipment in thanks to Locked On, obviously, and I haven't really gone back. Trade Coffee is the perfect pick-me-up that I need in the morning. I'm not necessarily an everyday guy, but when I do need my coffees, I always do go to Trade Coffee, one of the best in the business. Right now, Trade Coffee is exclusively offering our customers 50% off for your 1-month trial at drinktrade.com/lockedonmlb. That's trade.com/lockedonmlb for $50 or 50% off your first month trial. That is trade.com/lockedonmlb for 50% off your 1-month trial.
Carter, before we get into the Mason Fluharty of it all, Erik Swanson, the whole pitching staff as an entirety, one guy that, I know we talk about him often, and it seems like more and more as the weeks progress here, Alejandro Kirk is an absolute dog. He is unbelievable. He's playing DH in this game. As he walks the game off in the 2-1 defeat over the Phillies, he then comes in and goes 3 for 4. I don't know, Carter. This guy is the Alejandro Kirk that I have been asking for, the thick Jesus that I have been asking for. I don't know, man. The All-Star. Oh, by the way, for those of you who don't know, All-Star first balloting is out. So make sure you guys go do and vote for your Toronto Blue Jays. I'll probably put a post up on the Twitter and the Instagram with a link so you guys can go and click and vote for the players there. Alejandro Kirk is going to have a vote from me. I know it is a tough series or a tough vote because obviously you have Cal Raleigh to complete with, who's been debatably one of the best players in baseball. But Alejandro Kirk, for me, defensively, offensively, has been outstanding this year. I said he was going to be an all-star this season. That might be tough, but I think at the end of the day, you are more than thrilled with the season that Alejandro Kirk is giving you, especially because you are seeing him just progressively get better and better as the season continues. Maybe not defensively. Defensively, he's been sick all season, but offensively, you're really starting to see the impact that Alejandro Kirk has on the 2025 team.
Well, and All-Star definitely isn't out of the question because they do take more than one catcher, obviously, for the All-Star game. It's just maybe he's not going to be like the number one guy when you have Cal Raleigh, but All-Star is definitely in the cards for Alejandro Kirk. I think the Silver Slugger is probably where when you have Cal Raleigh in your same, in the AL, that's where you're going to struggle a little bit, but like Alejandro Kirk has been an absolute pleasure to watch. And it just absolutely blows my mind every time I hear this stat. They bring it up, whether it's on the broadcast, whether I see it on Twitter, whether I look at it myself, is how good this guy is in 2-strike counts. The MLB average is 170. Alejandro Kirk is hitting like 335 in 2-strike counts. And he continues to do it again today. I want to group in Tyler Heineman into this as well. We have been so lucky with this catching tandem, especially after Danny Jansen leaving. It was kind of the notion was, it's going to be the Alejandro Kirk show. Whoever that second catcher is going to kind of be a throw-in. It's going to be like the Alex Sanchez when he was playing, obviously, with Tyler Heineman out. That was the kind of production that we were expecting. And Tyler Heineman has come in and been absolutely ridiculous. But back to Alejandro Kirk, just lining the ball like he was in 2022. Just, again, full plate coverage, spraying it all over the diamond. They play him straight up pretty much every single time because Alejandro Kirk is so good at using the full baseball field, getting to outside pitches, fouling off tough pitches, which is, again, so hard to do, especially in a 2-strike count where pitchers normally expand the strike zone. Alejandro Kirk, again, just not striking out a ton, has such a good command of that strike zone. Again, being behind the plate obviously does help with that a little bit. But man, shout out to Alejandro Kirk. Shout out to this catching tandem, because this kind of does lead me into a hot take that I do want you to kind of give your reactions to. People might not like this. And again, this is a small sample size, so I don't want to say this like Tyler Heineman's better than this player. But right now, with Tyler Heineman, the way he's playing, I would prefer Tyler Heineman over Danny Jansen right now. Again, I'm not saying it's going to happen the entire season, but what Tyler Heineman is doing right now for the Toronto Blue Jays in the 5th inning, seeing that unbelievable defensive play, again, going to be a little bit overlooked. A swinging bot, I believe it was from Brandon Marsh, made that look like the easiest play of all time. We're hustling again to the pitching mound, makes a perfect throw to Vladimir Guerrero Jr. Just kind of going over the stats. Again, very small sample size, but a 404 average, 1 home run, 976 OPS. Tyler Heineman, better base runner than Danny Jansen, a better defender than Danny Jansen, throwing runners out like crazy. Danny Jansen might have him in the blocking aspect. Obviously, he's going to have him in the power aspect as well. But if Tyler Heineman can even be sort of similar to this for the entire season, I think I would prefer him over what Danny Jansen was doing, because for 2 reasons. Number one is this is giving Alejandro Kirk the ability to flourish, and we're seeing it right in front of our eyes. Right before, when you have Danny Jansen, it was pretty much a true 50-50 split. Now we're seeing Alejandro Kirk and what he can do with a full season. And if you were going to allow Alejandro Kirk to do that with Danny Jansen, I feel like the numbers for Danny Jansen would have completely fallen off the map. I'm not saying Tyler Heineman, again, is going to have a 960 or 976 OPS for the rest of the season, but in the role that he is in right now, in that backup catching role, I don't think we can ask for anything more whatsoever from what Tyler Heineman has done for this baseball team.
No, Carter, I will absolutely back you up here, because this is exactly where I wanted to go. Surprisingly, I wanted to talk about Tyler Heineman. He's been unbelievable in his role. Now, I'm not saying that over a 162 game span, who do I want to be my starting catcher? Am I picking Tyler Heineman? I don't know. But in a catching tandem where you want one guy to flourish and one guy to be a capable bat that comes into the lineup in, every 3rd, 4th game, whatever it may be, I think this is a better fit long-term than it is to go with a 50-50 split. And the other great thing about Tyler Heineman is he's not made of absolute glass. So you don't have to worry about massive injuries. Tyler Heineman is an absolute unit. He's like you said, a good base runner, great defender. You're right. I think Danny Jansen is a very good blocking catcher. So I think you got to.
How many big blocks are you making per game? Like, again, depending on the pitcher,
maybe not even one.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I couldn't agree with you more. I think that this tandem is fantastic. And that play he made on Brandon Marsh shows the athleticism of Tyler Heineman about being able to understand what's going on, call off the pitcher, know he has the angle, bare hand pickup over to first base, right on the money as a backup catcher to give Alejandro Kirk some time off, and hat tips to Alejandro Kirk as well, because you get the day off, but instead they were like, hey, we need you to stay in this lineup. We want a big win here. So you go to the DH role instead of it. Yeah, it may not be a full day off, but at least he gets off his knees. You will relieve a little bit of pressure for a day. And Tyler Heineman comes in and does a fantastic job. So, Carter, I 100% agree with you. I think with the situation the Toronto Blue Jays are in, I think unbelievable choice. And I hate to say that it's a little bit lucky. It's a little bit lucky that you're getting the season you have been from Tyler Heineman, because I don't think anybody in their right mind would have predicted this. And just to keep going, Carter, on Alejandro Kirk and on Tyler Heineman, I don't know what argument anyone can make right now to say the Blue Jays made a mistake in making Alejandro Kirk their number 1 guy. Looking back from Gabriel Moreno, looking back from Danny Jansen, I think overall, this team is going to be, and a guy that wanted to be here. Alejandro Kirk wanted to be a Toronto Blue Jay. He signs the deal. He stays here for a very friendly contract. I love the contract. I think overall, I think in the long term, I don't do this often. Hat tips Ross Atkins. Having Alejandro Kirk as your number 1 guy, I think for long-term play was the right decision.
See, I have to fully agree, obviously, with Danny Jansen, just by the square fact of reliability. Like, Danny Jansen was, again, by the time you got to May, you knew he was going to get hurt probably at least one time
Yeah.
at that point. With Gabriel Moreno, I think it is a little bit too early to say, like, it's a clear cut, obviously, Alejandro Kirk. But right now, obviously, you do have to favor Kirk. One thing I will provide with that, though, is that I think the floor of Gabriel Moreno is going to be a whole lot better than Kirk's offensively. Defensively, I think you got to give, obviously, the rights to Alejandro Kirk. But just because when Kirk, again, is rolling over baseballs, when he's just a plug on the base paths if things aren't going well offensively, you notice that immediately. Like, it doesn't matter if it's 1 at bat, 2 at bats, 5 at bats. When Alejandro Kirk rolls over and hits a ball in the infield, you're like, holy crap, this guy took 5 seconds to throw the baseball, and Alejandro Kirk's not even halfway there yet. So offensively, that's always going to be a problem with Alejandro Kirk, obviously. But again, when he's lining baseballs, when he's hitting the ball hard, and you just look at the upside that these guys are going to provide, again, both like Gabriel Moreno, Alejandro Kirk, probably not going to be guys that are going to hit 15, 20 home runs. But if you're talking middle of the order at bat right now, just for the near future, I like my odds right now with Alejandro Kirk. I'm not going to, again, flat out say it. That's easily Kirk over Moreno. But so far, early on, especially in this contract, it is looking like Ross Atkins and the Toronto Blue Jays front office did make the right choice with the catcher that they did pick to be this franchise cornerstone. But just going into the lineup from today, if you would have told me in the offseason, like say it was in like February, that this is the lineup the Toronto Blue Jays are going to roll out against Jesus Sardo and the Philadelphia Phillies, Bichette, Vladdy, George Springer in the 3 spot, I would have been already there. Oh no, Alejandro Kirk in the 4 spot. Ernie Clement 5, Davis Schneider 6, Miles Straw 7, Jonathan Clase 8, and Tyler Heineman 9. I'm probably throwing up. Straight up, I'm probably yakking all over the place. But right now, this lineup gets rolled out, and you're like, hey, this bottom of the order is probably going to fire once again. They're going to play a little bit of small ball. And they didn't even play small ball really today. I guess you could say like the mass hits that they did get was obviously very nice to see. But I mean, Ernie Clement 2 for 4. Davis Schneider obviously starting that big rally, having a nice single. Miles Straw going 2 for 4 with 3 RBIs. Tyler Heineman, when things are going well, things are going really well. Obviously, I want to talk about that Trey Turner play that he did have as well. Tyler Heineman, 2 hits, 3 RBIs. I guess we'll just jump right into that Trey Turner play. Not very good contact by Tyler Heineman whatsoever, but when things are going well for yourself, when you're on a massive run, as Tyler Heineman is, balls like that end up falling. And of course, it works out in Toronto Blue Jays' favor. Not going to be mad about this whatsoever, but it hits Trey Turner's glove and doesn't go right back to Max Kepler, doesn't go towards the infield, goes right to the corner, kind of by the foul line where not his soul is standing for the Philadelphia Phillies. So obviously that was very nice for the Toronto Blue Jays to see. I just want to hear your thoughts on that Trey Turner play and just your overall reactions when you saw it.
Yeah, listen, I don't put that one on Trey Turner. That is a very hard play for the shortstop to make, ranging back, sort of having to basket catch it. I think he should have had it. I think yes, but I don't put that on him. I think that was a luck of the draw. That's where the ball ended up, and it favored the Toronto Blue Jays. The baseball gods looking down on this team. So you got to be happy with that, because yeah, that was sort of the whatever, what is it called, that broke the camel's back or whatever.
No,
Whatever that saying is.
Break. I don't actually. I know what the saying you're talking about, but I don't know the exact one. That's an interesting poll to have on the podcast. Just kind of out of left field here. Guy doesn't even know the saying. Is trying to throw it out, obviously. But hey, like yeah, I guess we'll run with that. But
Sure.
yeah, we'll go with not Trey Turner's fault at that point. The game, it kind of felt like the first game, honestly, of this series when you had Bowden Francis on the mound. Game's pretty much over at that point. The Blue Jays score 1,000,000 runs, obviously, in the 3rd inning, and we feel very good about how this baseball game kind of goes. And then obviously they add on a little bit in the 6th inning as well to put this game fully out of reach. I'm going to kind of fly through this part a little bit. But Mason Fluharty, I mean, this guy just continues to just impress me every single time it seems that he goes out there. Goes against some pretty good players here, obviously. You got Trey Turner, Bryce Harper, and Kyle Schwarber, and just makes the quickest work of all time. Gets Trey Turner to roll over and then gets 2 strikeouts back-to-back on Bryce Harper, Kyle Schwarber. Are those guys good baseball players? I don't know. Look into them if you guys don't know, because yes, they are very good players. Mason Fluharty just continues to dominate hitters. Just again, when you need a team to rise above expectations, especially coming off a 2024 season, you need some guys to take a step. Mason Fluharty obviously being one of those guys. So fun to watch this guy's cutter sweeper combination from the left side.
Yeah, he's been absolutely outstanding, and we've had many of conversations about Mason Fluharty and what he can do. So I think this is just, like I said, diamond in the rough a little bit, and that's what Mason Fluharty is turning out to be. But it is a sad day, I guess, to end things off here for this game, Carter. Vladdy, man. He couldn't
Yeah.
keep it going.
34-game on-base streak officially has come to an end, and they had a pitcher on the mound, unfortunately, for Vladdy in the 8th inning, but does pop up. I mean, good. You don't need Vladdy's production, and Vladdy's probably not going to be too upset because you did win a series against the Philadelphia Phillies. You're 8-2 in your last 10, and Vladdy ultimately does want to win. But again, it was obviously nice to see that little personal achievement, putting himself up there with guys like Jose Bautista, Edwin Encarnacion. When you're going to be talked about in conversations with those two, you're probably doing something right. I do have one more thing quickly. It's just a shout out to Bichette because, again, kind of called this guy out a little bit for not performing up to expectations. And what has he done in May? He is one of 18 players with 8 home runs since May 1st. We're starting to see the power come back for Bichette, and that's, again, another reason why this offense has looked a whole lot better in May. It's all going to stem from guys like Vladimir Guerrero Jr., Bichette, Alejandro, Kirk. That has been your 3-headed monster in the month of May, and it has been so much more fun to watch, obviously, than even the early parts of May, and then obviously April as well. Maybe the Blue Jays are starting to turn a leaf here a little bit. Not going to say they're, again, the most consistent baseball team of all time, but we have seen what this team can do if they can put it all together.
Yeah, Carter, and we're going to need them too for sure. We got a series preview to hit. We have a baseball game to run off to, but so we will make sure we get this series preview for you guys as we head into the weekend. And I am gone next week. I will be probably on the podcast as much as I can be, but Carter does have some special guests lined up, some special co-hosts. We're doing, it's pretty much co-host or whatever, random guests joining Carter week, we can call it. So we'll tee all that up for you guys coming up after this short break. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. The NBA playoffs, NHL playoffs in full swing. Every night delivers highlight-worthy performances, major momentum shifts, and can't-miss moments. Whether it's a game-winning shot or a breakout player, there's never been a better time to get in on the action. Like I said, I just put some money on the Oilers to win in that overtime a couple days ago and got that done. NBA playoffs, I'm not a big NBA guy. I have a buddy I go to who knows the NBA, and we sort of place bets together, so it's something to watch. Baseball-wise, I've been actually winning with the Blue Jays again, so that fires me up. FanDuel makes it even easier to stay in the game before tip-off and live with player props, performance trends, and same-game parlays. Fans have more ways than ever to play smart and win big. New to FanDuel, it's the perfect time to sign up. Head to FanDuel.com and place your first $5 bet. If it wins, you'll get $200 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sports betting partner of the NBA. All right, dude. Toronto Blue Jays, Minnesota Twins. This is usually a series that, me and you and people from Manitoba love because we, either rip over to Toronto or we rip over to Minnesota and watch these games. So I bet you a lot of people tuned in for this one. And it should be interesting. Can this team carry over the momentum that they have just made from the Phillies series and the Athletic series and the Rangers series? What can they do? What can they bring over? Who do you got for us for the pitching matchups going into this one?
Yeah, two kind of good things for the Toronto Blue Jays. One is good, and then one, I say kind of because it is an injury. They kind of get lucky again here. Again, not going to play on teams' downfalls, but Pablo Lopez is not going to be pitching for the Minnesota Twins. They probably would have ran into him during this series, but he will be out for multiple weeks. I believe it's between a month and 2 months. So obviously the Toronto Blue Jays will not be seeing him. They will get Bailey Oberlo for that Friday game. According to the MLB, this is the to-be-determined game. Probably will be the Erik Lauer show, maybe a combination of Braden Fisher, maybe as an opener. You have Paxton Schultz again. These three guys would probably try to eat up the chunk of those innings. Again, that is against Bailey Ober. That slides down Kevin Gausman and Chris Paddock as the Saturday game. And then on Sunday, again, I am a little bit nervous for this one, especially off of recency bias, but it is Bowden Francis against Joe Ryan, who is definitely no slouch there with Minnesota whatsoever. The second good thing, this one is definitely a good thing. The Minnesota Twins just got absolutely pumped by the Athletics 14-3. So if we're talking about teams, again, maybe not playing the best brand of baseball. I know it's only one baseball game, but that is a tough loss to have against the Oakland Athletics, no matter how good or bad you think that baseball team is. But yeah, you're going into this series. You're going into a Minnesota Twins team that you're probably going to be competing for in the wild card. Maybe they do end up taking over that division, but this is a series that is going to matter for the Toronto Blue Jays. Hopefully, again, this is a team that is a pretty good baseball team, a team that will be at least competing for the playoffs down the stretch. So another test for this Toronto Blue Jays ball club. They are on the road for this game as well. So starting out another road stand for the Jays. So overall, I'm going to throw it back over to you. What is your expectations from this Minnesota Twins and Toronto Blue Jays series?
It's tough to say because it becomes what brand of baseball does this Toronto Blue Jays team bring? But I bet on them to win against the Phillies, and they showed me up. I'm going to say 2 for this one. I want them to win 2 games, and I hope it's the first game at least. Or I guess I would say my odds are is seeing how Eric Lauer and all these guys have pitched. I don't hate them against anybody right now. I think they've been very good. And then Kevin Gausman. I put all my faith in Kevin Gausman because he can go out there and throw you an absolute gem of a game. So I'm going to say the first 2 they win and they lose the Bowden Francis one, as much as I would hate to see that.
Yeah, for me, when we look at this Philadelphia Phillies series, I said they're going to lose 2-1, and the game I had them winning was the first game of this series. So, I mean, if I was betting all of my props on FanDuel, if I was just betting like outrights for who's going to win baseball games, I would be down so much money. It would be absolutely insane. So, I'm going to hopefully continue on with the trend of just getting every single game wrong. I am going to be a little bit more realistic. I'm going to say that they do lose the series, hopefully that they do win the series, but in my head, obviously, I don't think that Bowden Francis game is going to go that well. Unfortunately, I don't really see how that goes differently. I think I'm almost going to put that as a scheduled loss for the Toronto Blue Jays team, especially against Joe Ryan. But I'm going to put my eggs in the Kevin Gausman basket as well. That's the game I do have them winning. The Bailey Ober game, again, on paper, they shouldn't necessarily have a chance. But again, Eric Lauer has been very good this season. Braden Fisher's been good. The offense shows up once again. Bailey Ober is not going to throw that hard. He's not going to blow you away with a 100-mile-an-hour fastball. Is more of a command guy. If he leaves a couple pitches over the middle and this team continues to take advantage of, again, those pitches that you want to take advantage of for any baseball team, that is the game where I think it could be a teeter-totter, but unfortunately I am going to put up a Blue Jays series loss here. Hopefully I'm wrong once again, because I've been wrong multiple times. I've been wrong seeming like pretty much every time, at least recently with this Toronto Blue Jays team. Consistently inconsistent has been the theme of the season. Hopefully we can find a little bit more of that consistency, especially offensively against a Minnesota Twins team that is definitely no slouch to play against.
Yeah, guys, as always, I want to thank you for listening. Thank you for watching, but we do have to get ripping out of here. And guys, for those of you who don't or have heard or haven't heard, I'm not here next week. It's going to be Carter and some guest hosts. I'm going to try to pop in as much as I can for the episodes, but it is a little bit difficult. Nothing serious. I'm taking a trip. I'm going to pop on hopefully for the Monday episode. Times will not change Monday to Friday at when it's scheduled every single time. For those of you watching, nothing will change. I just won't be here for a week, or I might be. I don't know. It's sort of just up in the air of how many episodes will I be on for? Will I be able to pop in for some of an episode, stuff like that? But I will try to be here, stay up to date, stay on the Twitter, stay on the Instagram. I will be around baseball. It's not like, I go on a trip and I stop watching baseball. I have a problem, and it's called watching baseball. So thank you guys so much for listening. We'll be back with you again on Monday. Hopefully the Blue Jays get another series win. We'll keep you guys up to date on the Instagram, the Twitters, the TikToks, everything as well, the shorts here on YouTube. So make sure you do hit that subscribe button, and we'll talk to you guys later.